Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for rocking with us here on today's show. Coming up, the Niners defense just got some bad news going into 2025. Let's expand on that. So at this time of the NFL offseason, as I sit here and record this lovely program on Wednesday, July 9th, a popular topic becomes a list of coordinators to look out for who could become head coaching candidates in the next cycle after the 2025 season. And right now, these are the 8 names that have started to gather a lot of buzz going into the 2025 campaign. Joe Brady, the Bills offensive coordinator, because of what he's done with Josh Allen and bringing a run game to Buffalo, which for years was really lacking with that organization. Brian Flores is a wonderful defensive mind. As the Vikings defensive coordinator, he is always very creative, coming up with ways to get pressure on the quarterback and give opposing offenses a bunch of different looks. Josh Grizzard is now the Bucs offensive coordinator. He steps in for Liam Cohen. We know that these young offensive minds have been really popular around the league as some of these head coaching candidates. Vance Joseph was once a head coach. He goes back to being the Broncos defensive coordinator, and that Denver defense last year was terrific as Denver surprised everybody, making it to the playoffs and ending that long playoff drought. Cliff Kingsbury did some great work last year with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. He's the Commanders offensive coordinator. Matt Nagy used to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. He's been the Chiefs offensive coordinator. How long does Andy Reid have left? We're not sure. But with Matt Nagy, other teams might look at him once again as that Andy Reid type of disciple who had a few years to correct some of his wrongs, which happened in Chicago. Zach Orr, Ravens defensive coordinator. I feel like Baltimore every year has that statement defense which always produces really good results. Then, of course, Steve Spagnuolo, one of the top defensive coordinators in the game, one of the best defensive minds that the NFL has ever seen. Who did we not include among those 8 names? The center of today's show. Niners defensive coordinator Robert Saleh. He is another prime candidate to become a head coach after the 2025 season. And I'm telling you this right now. If the Niners defense turns it around year over year, 2024 to 2025, and it's led by Robert Saleh, his name will be mentioned in head coaching searches. He demands the room. He has a lot of confidence. He's a good communicator. And he is an expert mind on one side of the ball. And if the Niners defense plays well and Saleh gets these rookies performing well right from the jump, that's going to increase the likelihood that he's going to pick up some traction as a potential head coach to get another crack at it. Because there's an opportunity for 5 rookies from this 2025 draft class to start for this Niners defense in 2025. Michael Williams at defensive end, C.J. West and Alfred Collins at defensive tackle, Nick Martin at linebacker, and Upton Stout as a slot corner. Robert Saleh also played a role in the Niners drafting these players. So that is the identification of good prospects by Saleh, which also has to do with being a successful head coach at the NFL level. And just look at how these numbers fared for this Niners defense in 2024. This was a bad unit. I know that they were 8th in yards per game, 7th in yards per play. How did they fare in other areas that actually matter? 29th in points per game at 25.6. They could not keep teams out of the end zone or from scoring. They were 24th on third down percentage. They were 31st, second to last in the red zone. Meaning, when teams got inside the 20, ladies and gentlemen, they scored at an astounding 68% clip. Nearly 70% of drives that went inside the 20 resulted in touchdowns for the opposition. Not good enough. The Jets' defenses were good enough under Saleh. A lot of people like to say, oh, he was fired. He sucked. Look at his win-loss record. Look, when Saleh was coaching the Jets, they were first in points per drive in the NFL defensively. They were first in EPA per play from the time that he was hired in 2021. And they were third in success rate. The Jets' defenses were never the issue. New York could never find a quarterback. Zach Wilson, bust. Aaron Rodgers lasted 4 snaps, popped his Achilles, and then last year, Jets didn't have an offensive coordinator. That can be pinned on Robert Saleh, but he was also coaching for one of the most dysfunctional organizations in the sport that hasn't been to the playoffs since Mark Sanchez was their quarterback and Rex Ryan was their head coach. It was also pretty telling that after Salah was let go, those Jets defenses, or that Jets defense last year, singular, not plural, was horrible. Guess who stepped in to be the defensive play caller? Jeff Ulbrich, who was the Jets DC, who a lot of people wanted the Niners to hire as the Niners DC if Robert Saleh didn't work out. Ulbrich is now the DC with the Atlanta Falcons. But Ulbrich's a pretty good coach. He's a good defensive mind. He had to become the head coach, interim. He ran the defense, and that defense fell off a cliff. So Saleh being a head coaching candidate is interesting because also the Niners really valued his evaluations during the NFL draft. They leaned on him as a de facto head coach. And right now, going into the 2025 season for San Francisco, he's the head coach of the defense. Saleh also mentioned, we'll see if he wants to be a head coach after this. I think anybody who is competitive, who wants challenges, who wants to succeed, and is also trying to flush a previous failure would like to aspire to be a head coach again. But Saleh did mention how nice it is to be a defensive coordinator because you don't have to worry about all the managerial tasks. And we'll see if Robert Saleh has this defense playing well and he gets head coaching buzz, if he even wants to become a head coach. But I'm just telling you this right now. I'm giving you a warning. The Niners, Niner fans, you could be getting some bad news because if this Niners defense does play well in 2025, he's going to be mentioned as a head coaching candidate. Now, I do want to round out with this. This is what I want to see from Saleh and his defense this year. I want to see him as a defensive mind with this defensive scheme. Adapt, evolve, and get creative. Offenses and defenses are always modernizing. They are always coming up with new creative ideas, concepts, play calls, play designs, new wrinkles with their scheme. I want to see that from Saleh. We didn't really see it with Steve Wilkes. We didn't see it at all from Nick Sorensen. A big point of emphasis this offseason for this Niners defense and this organization was to improve what has been a really bad rushing defense. Since DeMeco Ryans left, who was great in replacing Saleh, they've really gone downhill, and they've gotten worse every year. I also want to see San Francisco get after the quarterback consistently. That has also been something that has been missing the last 2 years under Wilkes and under Sorensen. Most importantly for the future of this organization and for 2025, I need to see these rookies developing, playing well, and making an impact right from the jump. Why? Because the Niners need them to. They are not deep enough or talented enough on defense to not get contributions from these rookies. I want to see these value deal players perform. Jason Pinnock signed for 1 year, 2.2. He might have to start for San Francisco. I want to see him play well. He said he wants to start and be an all-pro player. Let's see it. Robert Saleh can help him achieve that. Richie Grant, another safety, signed for cheap. Let's see what you can do. Trey Brown, you want to get your career back on track? You're going to get some snaps at slot and outside corner. How are you going to fare? Can Saleh put you in a position to succeed? Furthermore, I want to see Saleh confuse some of the top offensive minds in all of football. Too often last year, the Niners defense was caught off guard by all of these creative play calls and play designs. They were out of position. They were over-pursuing. They had defensive lapses. I want to see Saleh do that to the opposing offenses. We know that he's going to be able to bring energy back to this sideline. Kyle Shanahan's not that rah-rah guy. But the Niners need that. They've even mentioned that. I want to see Saleh bring that back. I also want to see him get Nick Bosa back to being his defensive player of the year self. The last 2 years, he's still been very good to elite. He's still been a top 5 pass rusher in the game, but his sack numbers have gone down. Now that you have Bryce Huff, you drafted rookies, that should help out Bosa not get double-teamed as much. And I want to see the real Bosa stand up. I want to see the 2023 Bryce Huff return. 10 sacks, 67 pressures 2 years ago under Salah. Salah knows the player, knows how to utilize him. Let's see it result in results. Renardo Green played very well in 7 starts last year. I want to see his continued development. Jair Brown was good in year 1, took a step back year 2. Good coaching can get him back on track. I want to see Robert Saleh unlock D winners. He plays such a fun style of ball. And he has some skills. But a coach can really put him in a position to reach his potential. Malik Mustafa, really good in year 1. Once he comes off that ACL surgery, I want to see that continued emergence. I want to see the Niners be good with their situational defense, third down, red zone. I talked about the numbers earlier. They were putrid. And I want to see this defense play with swagger, confidence, relentless hustle, and a lot of physicality. That's why I really wanted Robert Saleh to come back to the Niners. That's why I wanted San Francisco to hire him. I think it's one of the biggest moves that any organization has made, roster or coaching staff across the NFL this offseason, and I'm excited to see what happens there. These Niners shirts, thanks to our friends at Fanatics, are on sale for just $18. Head to chatsports.com/faithful shirt to get yours today. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for daily coverage of the Niners right here on YouTube.